Hey guys, it's day 18 of rehab, and it's also Monday, which means that we had peer group over here, which is a really awesome tradition that was started by a group of volunteers, basically graduates of the program here, paraplegics, quadriplegics that come every single week and answer a wide variety of questions of what life is like without legs and partially arms in some cases. All of these members and volunteers are super inspirational. I think I might have mentioned them before. I interviewed Nick recently, who had a 95% recovery. So they range in experience and injury level from Nick at 95% recovered to Franklin, who's been quadriplegic for 26 years. Um, Yet is fully independent, drives, works for 26 years. So yeah, super inspirational guys and gals that answer literally any question that comes up. And today we focused on number one and number two. I brought up number two, and soon enough, number one came up. And literally, I think it's on the forefront of a lot of paraplegics' minds. You don't think about this when you lose your legs, but your life ends up literally revolving around pee and poop. You got to empty your bladder every 4 to 6 hours, depending on the condition of your bladder. I've definitely heard of people having to do it every 3 hours, and you have to have a regimented bowel program. One great thing I learned today was that you don't have to do it every night. Some of these guys did their bowel program on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. One guy actually does it every 3 days. So that was a huge relief. Because quite honestly, it's a buzzkill. I don't know. You got to stick your finger up your ass. And although that is sometimes done with a sexual connotation, it doesn't make you feel sexy at all. Because you're just digging little bits of poop out of it. And it just sucks. It's definitely my least favorite part of this whole situation. So yeah, today's episode I'll focus on that. I totally understand if you have a fully functioning bladder and anus or bowels, you could tune out. But this is useful information for anybody that recently got injured, is still in the hospital recovering. The good news is, things get better. There are many different strategies, and I'll go over them now. But it kind of depends on your situation. Depends on your bladder. So there's this. It depends on if you have a neurogenic bladder, meaning that it can't retain urine once a certain level has been reached in the bladder. Funny thing is that actually it's like a double-edged sword. So two of the guys had a neurogenic bladder, and what they ended up using is a condom catheter, which basically is a condom that has a tube that goes to a bag that collects the urine. They could sleep through the night. They could sleep 8 hours, they could sleep 12 hours, and it's all good because the urine is emptied out. So it's actually a benefit. In my case, I do not yet have a neurogenic bladder. I don't know if I ever will, but when I first came in, I actually had 1,500 milliliters of urine, which is 1.5 liters. I was on IV liquids. I was drinking a lot because they were giving me morphine, which makes you incredibly thirsty. So yeah, I had 1,500 milliliters when I first came in. I think I followed that up with either 1,400 or 1,600 milliliters on the next one. So I definitely had a lot of fluid. I imagine that level is turning back up into your kidneys and beyond, which isn't good. So the recommended amount is 400 to 600 milliliters, and it ends up being a function of how often you cath and what your intake is. So I'd say the intake part is what ends up evolving with time, and that seems to be the area where you end up doing the most amount of work. So intake is a function of a variety of things. It's not just how much liquid you drink, but also the type of liquid. If it's a diuretic or not. If it's alcohol, for example, you're going to fill up that bladder pretty quickly. Also, it depends on the food that you eat, how much sodium there is in the food, etc. Basically, it's complicated, and I'm going to have to really start listening to my body. I'm in my 30s, so it's inevitable. But yeah, it's time to really start listening, and I definitely plan to. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about the different catheter types and about the main lessons learned on the urine side. Then I'll talk about the bowel stuff, and we'll call it a day. So as I mentioned, there's the couple guys that had the neurogenic bladder. Actually ended up being a blessing in disguise, maybe. They are able to use this condom catheter that empties out automatically. And if that's not the case, you kind of have two options. You could have a permanent catheter called a Foley catheter. There's also a suprapubic catheter, which doesn't go through your genital, it goes through your stomach wall. That's a surgery that can perform. The benefit of that, I assume, is you can actually use your genitals for the other purpose, which is sex. So yeah, Foley catheter. I guess you are somehow able to put a condom on with the catheter bent over. I don't know if that might feel better. It's kind of like a rib condom thing. Not sure, but you can have this operation where they end up putting the catheter through your stomach. Suprapubic catheter. That might be worth looking into eventually. But I think the optimal solution is this intermittent catheter procedure, which basically is what I'm doing right now, which basically means there's this whole, it first took me like 25 minutes and I got it down to 10 minutes, whole procedure of maintaining sterility, so basically not contaminating the catheter, and cleaning off, clean off my penis to make sure that, stuff doesn't get jammed down in there. And then I put the catheter down my urethra and keep inserting it until it gets to the bladder, at which point ICP in it, and it comes out, and I direct that at a bucket. Inevitably, I get some on myself. I definitely flicked some on as high as my eyebrows and stuff like that, which was, an experience. Compared to the bowels, it's not a big deal. You get a little pee on your eyebrow, whatever. There's this intermittent catheterization. That is beneficial because the permanent one is called the Foley catheter, where basically you can either do it yourself or a urologist every 4 to 6 weeks can go in and replace it. The problem is you have something like basically a path for bacteria to kind of slowly crawl up and get into your bladder. One of the guys that has it said that he used to have UTI all the time, and ever since he got the Foley catheter 10 years ago, he's had 3 UTIs, so actually decreased his UTI amount. So again, it is going to vary a lot by person to person. Maybe it depends a lot on, how you use it, etc. As far as the intermittent one, there is this, I think it's called the hydrophilic closed system catheter. They gave me this one packet. You can get it paid for by insurance. Medicare covers it, which from what I understand from this meeting is kind of the gold standard of what insurances cover. So this gentleman mentioned that he gets $200 a month, plus he gets 30 condom catheters, and that covers him for the whole month. He gave me one of his, which is nice. So I have one to test that myself. The special aspect of this hydrophilic catheter is that it actually doesn't require lube. I'm not sure if lube, maybe there's a relationship between that and UTI. I guess the claim is that it reduces the chances of UTI, but basically what happens is I think there's like a little pouch of water or something, and this hydrophilic catheter, as soon as you kind of break this pouch, all this water kind of seeps into it and it becomes super duper smooth, which is great. The standard issue catheter they have in rehab is this antimicrobial super flexible catheter, which is kind of a huge pain in the ass to put in. So you can imagine, I mean, this, let me move up so I could demonstrate. But this catheter is like, it's like yay long, you know? So you don't want to hold it in the portion that you stick in, because then it's going to get, I mean, even though you're wearing sterile gloves, it's potentially going to get bacteria on it. So you're kind of holding the super flexible thing in, and you're trying to push it in, and it keeps kinking, and it's this pain in the ass inside. I tried to spin it, and it just doesn't work. So my OT recently showed me the Speedy catheter. This one does use lube, but I guess it's very similar to this hydrophilic catheter. It's made out of a much more solid material, so it's not as bendy, and it's great. I literally take it out of the pouch, and it's essentially a super lubricated straight stick. I position it appropriately, put it in the hole, and then it just goes right in. Super fast, super easy. In my opinion, I think it has a much lower chance of getting any kind of bacteria on it. Again, because I take it out of its sterile baggie and I stick it right in. I like it. So, I'm learning new stuff every day. I learned about this hydrophilic catheter a couple days ago, which I'm liking a lot, and this hydrophilic one sounds even better. It's a pretty small packet it comes in. One nice thing also that I plan to get is you can get this kind of extension cord for the catheter, which allows you to redirect the pee safely and initially, before you even put the catheter in, so you kind of like redirect it straight into the toilet or something. Versus now, I gotta put the catheter in, and as soon as it's in, I see the pee coming. I gotta make sure to bend it so it goes into the cup that's right in front of me. I make it most of the time, but it's kind of a pain. So anyway, that's all I think I had to say about catheterization. As far as the Bowel program, it is, it sucks. I mean, basically what you need to do is get into like this commode chair, which is like a padded chair with a hole in it. You have to position your body in this specific way so that you can reach around it and basically stick your lubed up finger, well, in a glove. It has a latex glove. Thank God for latex gloves. You have to stick it up your bunhole and kind of twist it around, and you'll feel little nuggets of digested poop. Yeah, poop. You feel these nuggets of poop, and you dig them out with your finger, and you dig them out kind of one by one. You let them drop. You have kind of this little bucket below you. You take the glove out, make sure to hold it like this, and then you can remove the latex glove without any of the poop actually getting on anything, and the glove becomes inverted, and you throw that away. You put on another latex glove, you take a suppository, you jam it up as far as you can, take that latex glove off, throw it away. Obviously, you don't want to touch anything with it. Again, potpourri of smells, bad times, and then you just wait. So one of the things they mentioned is there's these things called enemies. I think it's spelled E-N-E-M-E-E-Z or something like that. I haven't had a chance to Google it, but it's a liquid. It's like a liquid gel versus the suppository I'm getting at the hospital is this solid white thing that takes up to an hour to dissolve and do its stuff. The enemies supposedly takes 2 to 15 minutes to dissolve and do its magic. So I'm definitely going to try that. There's a cheaper version of it called Magic bullet, I want to say. But the enemies is like $3 a pop, so those costs add up. Although if it's 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. By the way, that was the best part of this whole peer group is, oh my God, I don't have to do this every day. I could skip weekends. It's good times. We'll figure this out. But yeah, big news is we no longer need to do the Bowel program every day once we're out of this hospital. Thank goodness for that. All right. I should quit while I'm behind. 15 minutes. Well, hopefully you got some useful information out of it. I'll try to make sure to add a bunch of links to it, to tag it, etc. And I'll see you tomorrow.